So this is example 9 from 8.6. Okay, so the first thing that we have to do is we have to find that LCD. So we're going to find the LCD. The LCD, we're going to look at the numbers. Does 3 go into 5 evenly? So we're going to multiply 3 times 5. So the LCD is 3 times 5, and then we need one of each. We need an x. So our LCD is going to be 15x. You guys, since this is not x squared, we only need one x. So our LCD is 15x. The next thing we need to do is we need to find the domain restrictions, okay? You guys, the domain restrictions are based on the denominators, okay? You're going to take x and you're going to set that equal to 0. So that right there, that's a domain restriction. And then you're going to take 5x and set that equal to 0. X cannot equal 0. So our domain restriction basically is x can't equal 0. Okay, now you found the LCD, you found the domain restrictions. What questions do you have? Good? Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the LCD and we're going to multiply each term in the equation, or well, I should say in the inequality, by it. So we're going to multiply this term by 15x. We're going to multiply this term by 15x. And we're going to multiply the last term by 15x. And the reason we're doing that is so that we can eliminate the denominators in each one of these fractions. Okay, so 15x times 5x, the x's cancel out, and I'm left with 15 times 5. The x is canceled out, 15 times 5. Over here, 15x times 6 over 5x, the 5x and the 15x cancel out, and you're left with 3. Because 15x divided by 5x is 3. So I have 3 left from up here, and then the 6 from right here. 3 goes into 15x, 5x times, and then we have 5x times 2. Now, you can't do this when you're adding and subtracting rational expressions. The only time you can get rid of the denominator is when it's an inequality or it is an equation. Okay, that's the only time. So our 8.2, you can't do that. Now we're going to multiply. What is 15 times 5? It is 75. What is 3 times 6? 18. And 5x times 2? 75 plus 18. And then what are we going to do? Divide by 10. And we get 9.3 is greater than x. So now what we need to do is we need to find where, okay? So we're going to draw a number line. We're going to put 0, and we're going to put 9.3. And now, you guys, because this is an inequality, we need to test each section of the number line. So we need to pick a point below 0. We need to pick a point between 0 and 9.3. And we need to pick a point that's greater than 9.3 and test it. And what I mean by that is put it into the calculator and see if it makes it a true statement. Because you guys, it's an inequality, so there could be different parts, okay? So what is a number Okay, the other part is 0 is there because that is a domain restriction, okay? So we put 0. You guys, if our domain restriction was 1, we would put it on 1. So what's a number less than 0? -1. So let's test -1. You guys, it's less than 0, so we're going to test it. And what I mean by testing it, we're going to put, like, we're going to do 5 divided by -1 plus 6 divided by this, and we're going to see if it's greater than 2/3. Okay, 2 divided by 3 is 0.6677. So that's what we're hoping it is going to be greater than, okay? So 5 divided by -1. The reason I put -1 is because that's what we chose, and -1 is in the denominator. Plus 6 divided by, well, the next denominator was 5x, you guys. So I'm going to do 5 times -1 is -5. And I get -6.2. Is that greater than 0.6666666666? It's not. So that means right here, it doesn't work, okay? So no number can be less than 0. Now let's pick a number between 0 and 9.3. What's a number between 0 and 9.3? 5. So now we're going to divide. Our x is 5. Okay, so wherever we see an x, that's what we're going to put. We're going to put 5. So right here, we're going to do 5 divided by 5 plus 6 divided by 25, because 5 times 5 was 25, and I get 1.24. Is that greater than 2/3? Is that a true statement? It is a true statement. So right here, we're going to put a little check mark. We're going to put a smiley face, because that means any of those numbers will work. And now we need to pick a number that's greater than 9.3, which is 10. So we're going to replace x with 10. So I'm going to do 5 divided by 10 plus 6 divided by 50, because 5 times 10 is 50. So 5 divided by 10 plus 6 divided by 50, and I get 0.62. Is that greater than 0.67 or 0.666? It's not. So this does not work. So that means x is between 0 and 9.3. That is my final answer. So I found the LCD, I found my domain restrictions, I multiplied everything by the LCD, I solved for x, and then I made a number line. I got the 0 for my domain restriction, I got 9.3 from what I solved for x, and then I just picked a random point. One that was less than 0, one that was between 0 and 9.3, and one that was greater than 9.3. The only one that made a true statement is the one between 0 and 9.3, and therefore that's why x is between 0 and 9.3. What questions do you have?